So last night, I was asked by a New Hampshire State Representative, Bob Green, to attend a committee hearing today in support of a bill banning critical race theory in the state of New Hampshire from state contractors, from schools, and I, of course, was completely all over this. Listen, the text of the bill is very, very simple, and it follows the text of President Trump's executive order from last year that has since been rescinded by Joe Biden. Essentially, if you want to teach people that they are inherently racist because of the color of their skin, this executive order says, no, you can't use taxpayer dollars to do that. Now, this to me is a very simple concept. We should not be teaching people that they are racist based purely on the color of their skin. So I wrote up some testimony and I attended the committee hearing this morning to say what I wanted to say. Sadly, I didn't get a chance to, but that doesn't mean I won't. I will be going to the committee hearing next week. I'm not giving up on this, and hopefully I will have a chance to testify then. The reality is that they simply ran out of time at today's committee to do it. And listen, everything is a blessing, right? Everything is a blessing because I now know who the committee members are. And trust me, this woman right here, Christina Schultz, she's a problem. She's a problem. Christina Schultz supports critical race theory and your taxpayer money being spent on it. So now I've clearly identified her as a key part of the problem, but I also have a list of people that, have a hand in maybe passing this bill. So what I wanted to do, because a lot of people were asking me what my testimony said, would they be recording it? The answer is yes, they do actually record the meetings and they do actually post them on YouTube. But I thought, in lieu of being able to testify at this meeting, I would bring my testimony out to the world instead. And so you guys can hear what I was scheduled to say at today's meeting. And here it is. My name is Dr. Carlin Borisenko. I'm an organizational psychologist, and I reside in Merrimack, New Hampshire. I'm testifying today in strong support of HB 544. How did we get to a place where it would be necessary to have a bill specifying that individuals, by virtue of their race or sex, are not inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive? It started with a fringe ideology that came out of academia starting in the late 1970s called critical race theory. There are entire libraries of books written about the ideology, but the easiest way to understand it is this. Martin Luther King Jr. famously said, "I look to a day when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Critical race theory teaches exactly the opposite of this. It says that the only thing we should judge people by is the color of their skin rather than the content of their character. Critical race theory starts with a simple assumption that racism exists everywhere. You and I might define racism as the belief that one race is inherently superior to all other races. I think we can all agree that this is a fundamentally bad concept and an idea that should never be perpetuated in any form. However, that is not how critical race theory defines racism. This is critical to understand. No pun intended. Critical race theory changes the definition of common words in order to gain wider acceptance. After all, no one wants to be called a racist. Critical race theory views race as a political construction that was invented by white people to give themselves power while excluding all other races from it. It views racism as the ordinary state of affairs in society, present in all interactions and institutions. Anytime you hear the term systemic racism, that is what they mean. Think you're not racist? If you were born white, you would be wrong. Congratulations. Critical race theory teaches that if you are white, you are inherently racist. There is not a question of if you are racist. That is assumed. There is only a question of how your racism manifests and what work you are doing to stop it. Don't believe me? The best-selling book, White Fragility, is one of the Bibles of critical race theory. In it, author Robin DiAngelo confesses that she has been racist since the womb, has been racist her entire life, and will always be racist simply because she is white. I have been working nonstop to understand this ideology and its impact for the last 2 years, and I have seen how detrimental it is to individuals and to organizations. I'm currently authoring a book on the subject and have been blessed to receive guidance from some of the foremost experts in the world on the topic. I encountered critical race theory in organizations I was working with as a consultant, where it's commonly billed as diversity training to gain buy-in and support. Remember, they like to change definitions of words in order to gain wider support. Now, I have to be very clear. Not all diversity training in organizations teaches people that they are inherently racist and sexist based on how they were born. It's important to note that this bill will not eliminate the good kinds of diversity and inclusion training, the ones that explore different cultures and life experiences. There's nothing wrong with that. That is absolutely something that we should be doing and supporting. However, in the aftermath of George Floyd's death, training that was grounded in critical race theory took over the corporate training industry. Organizations were suddenly requiring that their employees read texts like D'Angelo's White Fragility or Ibram X. Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist, and forced white employees to go to internal struggle sessions where they were required to confess their inherent racism at risk of losing their jobs. And it's even worse when you look at the school systems. Right now, in schools all over the country, children as young as 5 are being taught this ideology. School systems are integrating these ideas throughout their curriculum, and children who are white and or male are being forced to confess to their classmates that they are oppressors. If they don't fit into one of the oppressor categories, they are instead taught that they are a victim and will never get ahead in the world because of the oppressors. And if you think it can't happen in New Hampshire, I have some bad news for you. It already has. Over the summer, I know of teachers in schools in New Hampshire who read White Fragility as part of optional training courses. In critical race theory, optional very rarely means optional, because if you don't do it, your colleagues will label you a racist and you could lose your job. Being called a racist is one of the very worst things we can be called in our society. It is a scarlet letter that follows the wearer around, something they can never escape from. There is absolutely still work to do with regards to making sure everyone in our society has access to opportunity regardless of the color of their skin or gender, and that everyone is treated fairly. However, critical race theory is not the way to get there. It is a regressive ideology that is going to lead to more racism and misogyny, not less. I strongly encourage you to support the bill and protect the people of New Hampshire from this harmful ideology. And again, I'm going to put up the people on the committee. If you live in the state of New Hampshire, please contact these people and let them know that you support the passage of this bill. Remember, people on the left speak up, people on the right do not. They're only hearing from people who are saying this is a racist bill. This bill is the very opposite of racist. This bill says that you cannot teach racism both to employees who are state contractors and in the school systems in the state of New Hampshire. It does not eliminate diversity training. It doesn't eliminate racial sensitivity training. Those things are fine as long as you are not teaching people that they are racist based on the skin color that they were born with. So if you live in the state of New Hampshire, I strongly encourage you, reach out to these representatives and voice your support for this bill. I promise you, now that I know this is going on, I'm not going to shut up about it. I'm going to be the worst nightmare for people like Christina Schultz, who thinks that she is gaining virtue points by calling herself and every white person a racist. I'm about to become your worst nightmare, Christina. You can count on that.